Hello everyone, my name's Debbie. I'm Mum Bear Stitchery here on Flosstube and over on Instagram, and this is my little channel all about cross stitch. Today is my July stitching update, as well as all my new plans that I'm going to try and do for the rest of the year. I think the middle of the year is a good time to kind of reassess what's been working for you and what hasn't, or areas that you would want to improve. So far this year, I feel like I've focused a lot on projects and like bullseyed in on those and had quite a lot of finishes, but that came at the cost of other things like my full coverage stitching, which I feel has been lacking somewhat. So yeah, changing all the plans up so that lots of different things get worked on rather than focusing on one thing, but we'll get to that. That's all coming up based on this giant pile beside me. But I think we should just start with some finishes. The first one I have, last time I saw you, I was about to attend the virtual retreat called Frogwarts that's held by the Black Needle Society, and it's a 3 or 4 stitching day retreat where there's competitive stitching challenges. You get a box of goodies sent to your house. It's just a fun time, and this was year 6 and I joined in year 2, but this was year 6. One of the things that you can do to get points for your team is finish a band sampler during the retreat time, and it's about 12,500 stitches. So you'll see where I was before, because I just started it. You have a 2-week, I think it's like a 2-week window to try and start and finish it. And I did manage to finish this one during the retreat. So there is mine. This is on 32 count Sea Spray by, is it Fibre on a Whim? Yep, Fibre on a Whim. And when you saw it last, it was at 12.51%. So I got all the rest done within that 2 weeks. It was a mammoth amount of stitching. And I stitched mine all in DMC. I even used, changed out for the spells. This is just a variegated DMC as well. And there. So, yep, that was that one. And we were so close. Our team came in 2nd overall, but it was so close. Next year, Team Library, next year. Next up, this was another thing I actually worked on during that retreat too. It got a lot of stitches. And it is Stained Glass Sampler by Carolyn Manning. You'll see where I was before. Sorry, you might hear the aircon, it's just came back on. It is a bazillion degrees today, so. So this one, you'll see where it was before. And I managed to get this one finished just after the retreat. I tried really hard to get it done like during the retreat, but there was just way more stitches than I thought there was. This was a paper chart, so it was hard to kind of know how much percentage you have left, but oh my goodness, I absolutely love this one. And it's stitched all in DMC. It is on 16 count Midnight Grey Ada, which I got from 123 Stitch, and it was the absolute perfect color for this project. You can see all the black clearly, but it's dark enough, it makes everything else pop. So that is that one, and that is another project off my Year of Whips list. So I've been knocking them out. And like I've said before, I do have Autumn Glass kitted up, ready to start. So that will be a start at some point in the future. But that is that one. Okay, now I definitely need to refer to my notes. Let's get to the plans going forward, because everything else you're going to see, if I've worked on it this month, you'll see a before picture. But if not, this is just everything else that's in the mix. So I've divided things into categories. So I have a full coverage focus, a monthly project that I work on, and then groups of projects, which is long dog samplers, kits, others like paper charts or PDFs, things like that don't fall into anything else, and then a whole bunch of other non-focus full coverages. And the idea is that I've put them in their categories on wheels, and I'm going to spin, and when it's called, they're going to get 1,000 stitches. And I'm also doing a little side quest bonus game. speaking of the Black Needle Society, we got these a couple of years ago in like another stitchy box for Frogwarts, and Sarah, the Redneck Bifocal Stitcher, proposed that in the countdown to year 7, because there's one for each week of the year, that we pull a card and do whatever we decide for like the prompt that are on the card. Like you can see here, this one's Stitch on Project designed before 1991. My project for this month is actually Stitch on Something with a Bird, or this week I mean, is Stitch on Something with a Bird, so you'll see that soon. And for these, I'm doing 500 stitches, and I'm kind of pulling them on a Monday and trying to get it done within that week. And I think I'm on my 3rd one. So that's the plan. 1,000 stitches or 500, and I'm not going to double dip. But hopefully this will make more sense as I start showing you the projects. So my focus full coverage for the foreseeable future until it is done is going to be Lochie. This is actually called Snippet of Lochie, and I think it's a retired chart from Charting Creations. This one, I'm going to go back to the format that I did before, like with the bear, the other bears, the hippo, where I work on it a page a month until it is done. And I was just looking, this one, here's where I am now. So you can see him. I was just looking, this one I actually have 12 pages left on it. Oh, I didn't look up the percentage, but anyway, I have 12 pages left on it. I'll tell you the percentage next time. And this one's 28 count, and I'm doing this 2/1 tight stitch. So this year, well, within a year, this one will be done. I think this is my oldest full coverage, or it's probably why I picked it. So page a month on Lochie is the plan. And I think this month I'm going to come down here and do this one. The next monthly project that I did actually work on in July is Artemis, again by Carolyn Manning. And this one I'm working on monthly so that I can finish it within this year. And I'm putting in about 1,410 stitches a month and still on target. So you'll see where I was before. And I was at 67.35%. And now I'm at 73.73%. And this one's stitched in DMC, and it is 32 count Silvery Moon Lugana. I think it says Weigart. So still on track to be finished by the end of the year. So you will see this one again in August. Now that brings us to our first category. So this next one I did actually work on in July too. This is Anzak, and you'll see where I was before, because I was at 30.22% and I'm now at 32.43%. And I worked on this one for the Frogwarts retreat again. I just worked up in this area here, which doesn't look like much, but this is 28 count opal linen in the color Miami Sunset by Die Stitch Love, who don't die anymore. But I am stitching it 1/1 on the 28 count, so it doesn't look like much. 3%, this area here doesn't look like much, but I absolutely love this one. So that's that. And that's my first long dog sampler in the category. And I should mention each of these categories have 5 projects. 4 of them are whips already, and 1 will be a new start when it's called on the wheel. So that's the first one, Anzak. The second one I started and barely started. This is 7th wave, and it is not even a full percent. It's 0.65%. And this is 25 count opal Morning Fog by Bee Stitch Me, and I'm stitching it 1/1 with DMC 939. I have thrown a whole bunch of hand dyes in the bag with it, along with some like an orange for maybe the surfboard on it, but a whole bunch of blue hand dyes that I'm going to pick them out at the time for doing the wave. But tiny start. The next one is actually the first thing that's been called on the wheel, so this will be the first one to get 1,000 stitches. And it is gone to pieces. This one is on a 32 count antique white Lugana. And I've got that first jigsaw puzzle piece done. I'm stitching it 2/2. It's currently at 15.75%. And I'm doing a bit of a DMC conversion. The thing that stalled me with this one is I had 2 darker shades than this, like in the same kind of color, but they were darker. But I did use them in, there's like little dots here, and I didn't think there was enough contrast between the dark gray, which is 3799, and this color, and I think that's what stalled me. So just before this, I've picked 2 lighter shades out that are tonally just a bit lighter but same color, and good to go now. So hopefully 1,000 stitches will see this one progress. Well, see it progress if you're adding stitches, but yeah, 1,000 stitches, you see a nice little chunk done. And once I do the 1,000 on that, I'll spin for the next one, and I'm gonna let them repeat. And it is what it is, what pops up. Okay, the next one is Before I Sleep. Again, another new start. And I did not want to put this one down. I am already at 5.71%. I'm almost done the first page. Not too much to go. And you can see I'm kind of doing like an ombre effect. It's the first time I've tried this. And these are my colors that I'm using. So I'm going down this way and then up this way, down the whole piece. And I think I'm going to do this first page and then do the next page and then the one underneath that, so I can go through all the colors and make sure they work and make sure I've mathed correctly to get that done. But I love this one. And again, 32 count Silver Moon Lugana. I cannot wait for this one to be called again. Did not want to put it down. And the new start for this category, even though 2 of them are technically new starts this month, I think is going to be Death by Cross Stitch. I have started this one before, but I didn't leave myself enough margin on the fabric and I didn't want to deal with that. So this is technically like a restart, but this is the fabric that I just got. It's like half a yard of fabric. I ordered this from Katy Tent Stitch at thesewingshop.ca. It's massive. It's Death by Cross Stitch. And this is a 20 count, and I think I'm going to do it 1/1 in DMC 310. However, I say maybe because Jules of Long Dog Samplers announced that there's a new Long Dog, I think, coming out on August the 1st. So depending what that new Long Dog looks like, I might be doing Death by Cross Stitch or whatever the new one is, if it takes my fancy. But right now, Death by Cross Stitch. Okay, this next category is kits. The first one is the first one that's been called on the wheel that I'm going to start this week. And it is Red Mermaid by RTO. I'm stitching it on the 14 count Ada that came with the kit. Do not recommend. If you buy this kit, highly suggest changing out the fabric. The Ada marks really easily in like a Q-snap. So since this one's been called first for 1,000 stitches, I think I'm going to start filling in like parts of her hair and maybe just working down the way on her. But oh, she's going to be so pretty though. And that's that one. I haven't touched this one in forever, so maybe that's the benefit of doing this wheel system, is that things that you've been avoiding working on will actually see the light of day. The next one is Felicity Lobster. This is an Emily Peacock Tapestry kit. So this one's a little bit different. So I got the frame, stretcher bars, so I'm hoping this will be easier to work on next time now that I pull it out. This is a 7 count canvas and it's stitched light cross stitch with tapestry wools. So I've just got that center bit done. So, but that's that. I can't wait to finish that one because I do have the shrimp kit too. I think it's called Erica the prawn or Erica the shrimp, but they're fantastic kits. The next one is Mason Jar Lineup by Dimensions. This one's got lots of hanging threads. But I have a couple of jars in. I swapped out the kit fabric for 32 count Lugana. I think it's actually antique white Lugana. That one's so pretty. It's just, the flowers are so, like, they're so dainty on this one. They're so pretty. I heard a rumor that Dimensions might be going out of business. So it's a sign to buy up any kits that I need for my stash before if it's true that they go out of business, but hopefully not, fingers crossed. The next one is Bear and Raspberries by another kit by RTO, and another one that I swapped out the fabric. This tiny start on the bear. This is 36 count Petals in the Wind by Seraphim, and I'm stitching it 2 over 2. And I think when I pull this one out, once this one gets called, I might start trying to color complete. I've glued the pages of the chart together now, so I might just pick a color and complete it across the whole chart and build it up that way. But you can see his little nose. And the new start for the kit category is Curious Raccoons by PANNA. I'll pop a picture in here. This is shiny. I think this one I'm gonna use kit fabric and floss. But this will be a fun little start, especially if it gets called soon. It could be sitting there for a while and like never get called on the wheel for a while, but this would be a fantastic one to stitch going into fall. Next page. Okay, my non-focus full coverages. So like I said, Lochie will get a page a month stitched on him, and they're kind of like my homework stitches, so I'm going to try and get those done first in the month. But after that, other full coverage. So this one has had 500 stitches this last week because it was part of one of the little cards. I think it was something with an I, and it is Mini Wonder by Maggie Vanderwall and Unconventional X Stitch. This is a tiny little chart. So like I said, I gave this one like 500 stitches last week, so it's all this colored stuff here out with this first page. So you can start to see the start of the little bell and the ribbon. This one is currently at 10.83%, and it's 25 count 1 over 1 full cross. The next one is actually, speaking of, is this week's Countdown to Year 7 card prompt. It was something with a bird, and this one is all bird. It is Barn Owl on a Post by Artemis, and this is the large version. They do charts where you can get the mini, the medium size, and then like a large version. And I picked the large for this one. So this one will get 500 stitches this week. It's 25 count 1 over 1 full cross, and is currently sitting at 5.98%. So I think I have a whole big page of just sky over here. So not the most fun, but must be done. This next one was a recent new start, and I didn't even get the first page done. It is Morning Run by Artemis and one of my favorite designers or artists, Abraham Hunter. And that's where that one will start from. Again, 25 count 1 over 1 full cross, and it is sitting at 3.08%. And this one's tiny. It'll fit on a little back quarter. This is a Heaven and Earth design. It is mini She Sleeps with Butterflies. The artist is Margaret Morales, my favourite Heaven and Earth designs artist. And this one was called first on the wheel to get 1,000 stitches. So this is where we're starting from. It is at 18.49%. So that will get 1,000 stitches in it. Again, 25 count, 1/1 full cross. And you can see like, even the dark colors on 25 count, there's not lots of like fabric like see-through. But yep, that's her. And the new start for the full coverage category is again Abraham Hunter, Artemis. Could not say no to this one. This is Time to Hibernate. Oh, Sleepy Bear. This one came out recently. I got the medium sized one. I was going to get the large, but I didn't see enough of a difference in the mock-up between the medium and the large to justify so many more stitches. So this one is 300 by 225 stitches. And I've just got a plain piece of 25 count to stitch that on. And again, it'll fit on a fat quarter of fabric. You'll see one in haul that was almost my full coverage new start, but since I'm already doing a Highland Cow, I just bought the other chart to keep in stash, but you'll see that after. Okay, the next category is other. So it's kind of like paper charts, PDFs, basically anything that's not in any of the other ones. This one I actually worked on in July. It is Christmas in the Woods, the stocking by Stony Creek. And this one is stitched on 32 count mushroom Ghana, and you'll see where I was before. And I essentially finished out the toe of the stocking and got that other raccoon in there. And I've backstitched all the way back up to where I am now on the deer. So the entire bottom section is complete. So I basically just need to do like the leg off the stocking. There's not actually that much stitches left in this one, but this one's like fun to stitch. Maybe less so the trees that are coming in like the leg of the stocking, but so far this one's been fun. And like I said, it's on 32 count mushroom Ghana with all the call for DMC, and there was like some sparkly, it's not like petite treasure bed, it's whatever it was called for in the chart. I ordered it from 1 3 Stitch. The barbed wire stuff and the lantern metal was stitched in. You can see it in the light, it sparkles. So everything's as called for. This next one is basically a series. It's the Airmail series from Lindy Stitches. This is the first one that I'm working on, and it's the California Quail. But I'm stitching the whole series together on one piece of fabric. And so I've just got to start on that first one. And this is 40 count. I think it's Silver Moon Linen. I'm using all the call for, which is a couple of over dyes and then DMC. I'm trying to work out the order. I don't think I'm going to stitch them the order that they came out. I think the first 4 I will. Because there's a mixture of the birds facing one direction and then there's one that faces the other way. But the second row, if I stitch them all as the order that they came out, the birds are all facing the same way. And I don't love that layout. So I think I need to do a little bit of rejigging. Maybe move one from the middle to the bottom, just like swap them around. But that's a later on problem. So that's the first one. The next one is Here Be Dragons by Modern Folk Embroidery. And according to all the charts I have on markup, this one is my closest to the finish somehow. It's sitting at 74.48%. But it does count like the background not stitches as stitches, but they're all marked out. So essentially what is background I've marked up on the chart. But it says I'm at 74.48%, and this is 40 count Ceres by Under the Sea Fabrics, and it's DMC 823, and it's stitched 1/2. Raspberry. The next one is an ink circles chart. Oh, my pal's threatening to go. It lasted so well. This next one is Cirque du Carreau by Ink Circles. And that's where that one's starting from. It is a 32 count Lagana in the colour Sand Dollar by B Stitch Me, and it's DMC 4515. And it goes from a beautiful light blue, dark blue to browns. This one's always fun to stitch. It requires like a lot less thinking, not having to like change thread colours, and I'm not colour managing or anything like that. I just pick it up and go. And the new start for this category is what actually fell on the floor. This is the Scorpion and the Frog by Jed X Stitch. I love all her new projects that are coming out. I've ordered one thing from, it's not Stash Fest, but that's what Lindy Stitches calls it. Steph from Lindy Stitches calls it. But wherever the needle market that's coming out, I've only ordered one thing so far, and that is the Blueberry Stellar's J with the Threadworks. But I love this chart too. So this is the Scorpion and the Frog, and I ordered the call for fabric, which is Spicy Mustard by Fibre on a Whim in the 40 count, and this one just calls for DMC, so I'm going to pick all of those up this week, and I can't wait to do a floss toss, because this is never a colour or fabric that I think I would purposely buy, but it's going to be absolutely perfect. So my final category is stitch alongs, which I am awful at, it seems like. But part one of the Ghostly Gathering from Caterpillar Cross Stitch came out, and you'll see here it's a little witch riding a broomstick with a little ghosty. And I think the thing that's stopped me from starting this so far when that first part came out is I don't love the fabric that comes in the kit. It's really see-through. It's kind of like, it feels like witchelt fabric. I think it's Permin, but I think it's Permin even weave, but it feels very much like witchelt linen, which I don't love, and I don't like the noise that it makes either. So I actually just looked through my stash and I picked out this little fat eighth of Keone from Under the Sea Fabrics, and it's a 28 count opal even weave, and I mean, look how perfect that is. Like, it's basically the same color. So I think I'm going to get started on this one today and try and stay caught up. It's only a 4-part series, so it shouldn't be that difficult. So I think that's going to be my start later today when I get back from taking the kids to the opticians. Yeah, and I think this might be my travel project. I go on vacation a week today. Piot's staying home. The dog's had like some medical problems. We thought he was like dying. We took him to the vet, essentially paralyzed, and thought, oh, we're gonna have to put him down because he couldn't walk like at all. And then he came back out of the vets, like they gave him a whole bunch of like arthritis injections and stuff like that, and it was a rough couple of days, but he tried to jump in the car when we dropped him off paralyzed, and he came out like skipping out of the vet and tried to jump in the back of the car, and now he's like great. But Piot's going to stay home with him because our regular dog walker is going off to college. He's currently moving there now, and Piot has to work anyway, so he's going to take a couple of days off to game his little heart out and DoorDash. And so I'm taking the kids on my first solo trip to Orlando. We're going to go to all the Universal parks. I'm very nervous about it. I hate roller coasters. Like, I feel dizzy sometimes when we're on the highway going somewhere and I get out of the car. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting trip, and it's given me a lot of anxiety. I've watched all these blogs where they're like, oh, to maximize your day you must do this, this, this and this, you need to take this with you to the park and book all these things. It just feels stressful, but the kids are going to love it, and it's going to finish off the summer holidays in a great way because we go back to school the day after we get back. So this might be a really good travel project for that, given that it's 28 count. It'll be easy to see. The other thing I was going to talk about, speaking of stitch longs, my friend Kenny is having a birthday stitch long, and it's called the Abandoned Sal, which I have many of. There's many to choose from, given that I've given up on half of them and pick them up like way later once they're done. I think for that I'm going to do Arctic Animals by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Even if I could just get in one animal and move it forward, that'd be perfect. So we'll see that next month, and if you follow the hashtag you'll see all the other things people have abandoned. The last project that I'm going to show you before I have a tiny little bit of haul. In all the stress and going on vacation and all the other stuff I have to do for the kids going back to school, like in a week, I decided to pick up tapestry crochet. I've been learning to crochet, and I'm like, what is this thing called tapestry crochet? So I saw it on Instagram and I was like, oh, that kind of looks like cross stitch, but it's not at all. But I picked this one because it seemed pretty easy, well, for a beginner anyway. And I just gave it a go. I watched a couple of videos and I'm starting to like work it out. So I'm on like row 12 of 53, and I only started it the other day. But see, it's not easy to hold up. Ooh, there. And you stitch it from the bottom, row by row. You see my crazy back. I'm sure it'll get neater as I learn more, but yeah, that's it. So this has been fun learning that. So I'll probably take this on vacation too and try and get some of that done. Because why not learn a new hobby instead of trying to get all the things that you need to get done? Oh, I'm back. I got cut off storage on the phone issues. I'm back from the optician. The last thing I have to show you is a tiny bit of haul. I picked up this little cute little Mill Hill, old fashioned, from the Spring Bouquet collection. There's that. Another kit I picked up, I think it was like one of the Amazon Prime days, and it's Lakeside Morning Dimensions Gold Petite. Super cute. I think that's 18 count fabric that it comes with. Yeah, 18 count ivory. I think that was like $10 or less on one of the Amazon Prime Day things. This chart is fantastic. It's new from Nimue, and it is poly. And I have a plain piece of fabric to stitch that one on, so that might have to go into the start pile sooner than later. But I love the plaid shirt, thistles, and I love the deep detail of Nimue charts. It's beautiful. I got that from 123 Stitch. The last things are a couple of pieces of fabric. I ordered another piece of Scotsman from Be Stitch Me. This is one of my favorite fabrics from them. This is a 32 count, no, 28 count Lugana. Perfect if you, for something that needs to be on dark but you don't want to use black. Scotsman is a great fit. The other one, I attended the Midsummer Stitch event held by Landis Stitches, and I got the exclusive piece of fabric from, again from Be Stitch Me, and it's the 32 count Lugana in the color Midsummer. It's beautiful. And the last piece, it's another piece from Katy at the Cross Stitch Studio CA, and again another bright piece of fabric that you just wouldn't get anywhere else. And this one is called Be Happy, and it's 20 count Ada, and it's like all drippy down. I don't know, maybe another long dog sampler, something that goes more horizontal than up and down, so I can have that rainbow drip effect. But again, nothing like it in my stash, so glad to have it. Well, that's all I have. I hope you have a great month, that it's not too hot where you are, and I will see you at the end of August, hopefully with some progress. But until then, bye.